This place did not lose control. It perfected it. On a summer evening in 1944, a train did not arrive at a destination. It entered a system designed to move human beings the way factories move raw material. Doors opened together, not from urgency, but efficiency. Families stepped down with suitcases, medicine photographs, proof that ordinary life had existed hours earlier. That proof mattered. It showed the machine worked before anyone understood it. The air smelled wrong, chemical processed. Orders came fast and official. People obeyed not from weakness, but because obedience had always worked. Here, obedience was the first lever pulled. Auschwitz was not chaos. It was calm logistics spread across acres, engineered to turn minutes into decisions and decisions into ash. No speeches, no trials. A flick of a wrist replaced a lifetime. Left meant labor. Right meant erasure. Most never learned which way they went. They were told to move, remember number stack bags neatly because order keeps panic low and panic slows throughput. Doctors worked like clerks. Clerks counted like accountants. Trains arrived on schedule. Smoke rose on schedule. Death became routine, and routine made it invisible. This is how systems kill quietly, efficiently, and without hatred. The noise hits before meaning can form. Boots grind against gravel dogs, bark sharply into the dark metal slams shut behind the train with a finality that sounds administrative, not violent. People step down, blinking, gripping hands, pulling children close, still believing this is a stop, not an ending. They are told to leave their bags by the tracks, not taken, not seized, just placed. The word matters. Placed suggests return, and return keeps panic low. Mothers memorize where suitcases rest. Fathers promise they will come back. No one corrects this belief because correction slows movement. What looks like a platform is a funnel wide at the train and narrowing by design. Lines form without explanation. Authority does not need clarity when speed does the work. Men and older boys are pushed one direction, women, children, and the elderly another. The separation is quick, practiced irreversible. Crying rises, then fades because attention feels dangerous here. Overhead smoke drifts sideways, thick and heavy, refusing to rise like ordinary fire. Someone asks what it is. No answer comes. Silence moves. A child drops a toy and it is kicked aside so the line does not slow. A man stumbles and is dragged clear, not from cruelty, but to keep the flow clean. This place does not confront fear. It outruns it. Trains must unload, lines must move. Understanding must wait. By the time it arrives, the rules are. The line slows just enough for fear to settle into the body. Ahead stands an SS doctor, coat, clean boots, polished posture, calm as if reviewing inventory instead of lives. He does not shout, does not explain, does not ask questions. He looks. He decides. His wrist moves. Left, right, reset. Each motion lasts less than a second, and that speed is the point. Speed kills doubt. Speed turns judgment into reflex. Men straighten their backs, pulling air into hollow chests, hoping posture can add years. Teenagers widen their eyes, trying to look useful, trying to look invisible. Mothers lift children higher, as if height could translate into time. The doctor's gaze never lingers. A cough, a limp gray skin hesitation, any sign of delay tips the hand. Right. Guards step in immediately, redirecting bodies, sealing gaps before questions can form. No one is told where right goes. No one is told why left continues. People believe another check is coming, another desk, another mistake that can be fixed. There isn't. This is the check. Survival here has nothing to do with virtue or courage. It is cosmetic. Look strong but not defiant. Useful but not slow. Invisible but not weak. An elderly man tries to speak and is silenced, so the rhythm stays intact. A boy glances back for his father and the hand moves. He disappears into motion. There is no record of this moment except smoke. Most will never receive a number, never see a barrack. Their lives end here not with violence but with a gesture practiced. Those sent left are not saved. They are processed. Doors close and orders accelerate. Stripping begins without explanation, without pause, without privacy. Clothes vanish first, then hair, then anything that still signals a past worth protecting. Cold water crashes down in communal showers, not to clean, but to shock, to flatten reactions, to reset behavior. Shock makes obedience easier. There are no towels, no mirrors, no time to look. Names stop working here because names take time. Numbers are faster. A needle punctures skin and leaves a mark that cannot be argued with. This is not punishment. It is inventory control. Personal items slide into bins, rings, watches, glasses, objects heavy with memory removed because memory interferes with compliance. Wooden clogs replace shoes sized wrong on purpose, blistering feet, just enough to keep bodies focused on pain instead of thought. Uniforms erase difference. Hunger sharpens attention. Orders come clipped and constant, rewarding speed and punishing hesitation. Those who look back for family are shouted forward. Those who hesitate are noticed. Being noticed is dangerous. This sequence is calibrated, not cruel for cruelty's sake. Break identity first, then resistance collapses on schedule. By the time the doors open again, the line that entered is gone, replaced by numbered figures moving on command, already learning the rule that governs survival. Here becomes smaller, quieter, forgettable, and the system may pass you by and leave no trace behind when it counts the bodies tonight silently. Behind the tracks stands a cluster of warehouses given a gentle name, Canada. The softness of the word is deliberate. Inside there is no chaos, only order refined to muscle memory. Suitcases rise in towers to the ceiling, each tagged, sorted, counted. Shoes lie in endless rows, laces still tied the way people tie them when they expect to walk again. Coats are folded, glasses are cleaned. Wedding rings are twisted free and dropped into tins, by weight, not by story. This is where the lie finishes its work. Leave your bags here was never mercy. It was supply management. Prisoners assigned to Canada move fast because speed is survival. They learn not to read names stitched into collars, not to recognize handwriting, not to linger on photographs where faces still smile. Wondering costs time. Time costs food. Food costs life. Everything is reused: cloth, leather, metal, even hair. Nothing is wasted except the people themselves. The silence here is different from the platform's noise. It is thick, methodical, efficient. Crates scrape metal, clinks, ledgers fill. Each object outlives its owner by hours, then weeks, then years. Canada is proof this place was planned. You do not build warehouses for accidents, only for systems meant to keep working. Long after screams fade, these rooms continue breathing, counting absence as inventory. By the second night, life inside the barracks settles into a rhythm that feels permanent. Triple-tier bunks, pack bodies, tight air, thick with sweat sickness and damp wood that never dries. Sleep is shallow and dangerous, waking is mandatory. Roll call comes before dawn, then again in rain, then again in whatever weather arrives, because exposure is part of discipline. Men sway but do not fall. Falling draws attention. Attention shortens futures. When someone collapses, no one rushes to help. Helping breaks formation, and formation buys time. Guards mark a notebook, a body is dragged away, and the count stays clean. Food arrives once a day, thin soup scraps that barely qualify as nutrition. People learn to drink slowly to trick hunger, to save crumbs for later, to trade stories for calories. Disease spreads because rest does not exist. Lice crawl, fevers rise, coughs echo, each symptom a signal that invites selection. The smartest prisoners learn to look average. Not strong, not weak, invisible. Conversations shrink because names are risky and numbers are safer. Friendship costs energy. Grief costs focus. Focus keeps you standing. The camp trains prisoners to police themselves through exhaustion. Every rule is enforced by scarcity. Every hour teaches the same lesson: adapt faster than the man beside you. Cruelty here is not screaming. It is repetition. Day by day, dignity becomes optional. Silence becomes strategy, and survival means accepting that the system no longer needs to threaten you because you now enforce it yourself until the routines harden. Fear dulls and time itself feels weaponized here. Beyond the barracks rises Monowitz, a place where exhaustion is no longer a side effect but a policy. Chimneys loom over brick buildings, schedules posted like commandments, guards waiting not to strike but to count. Prisoners are marched out before dawn, wooden clogs slapping pavement, bodies already spent before work begins. The distance itself is part of the punishment. By the time they arrive, strength has already been burned. The labor is heavy and deliberately inefficient, hauling sacks back and forth, unloading rail cars that refill feeding machines that never pause. Pointlessness drains hope faster than pain. There are no breaks, no water, no relief. Pauses slow output, and slowed output attracts attention. Attention is dangerous. Hands split open. Backs fail. Legs buckle. When someone collapses, work does not stop. The line flows around the body until guards remove the obstruction. The logic is clean and merciless: work until collapse, then select again. Industry profits either way. Quotas are met. Bodies are consumed. Corporate orders are filled without ever touching a weapon. Above the gate, the promise that work will set you free hangs like a joke no one laughs at. It keeps people trying. Trying keeps them moving. Moving keeps the system supplied. By dusk, men stumble back lighter than they left, calories burned that will never be replaced. Monowitz does not hide death. It stretches it out, turns it into productivity, and proves that genocide does not need chaos. Only contracts, schedules, and silence sustained hour after hour. As the workday ends, something unreal cuts through the noise music. An orchestra stands near the road, instruments polished, posture precise, playing as columns of prisoners march past. The melody is not meant to comfort. It is meant to regulate. Music keeps feet in timelines, straight heads forward. Beauty is repurposed as control culture, bent into a tool of order. Nearby medicine performs the same transformation. White coats move between barracks with charts and needles, speaking softly, professionally, as if calm language can disinfect what follows. This is not healing, it is measurement. Bodies are tested for limits, endurance, reaction. Consent is replaced by procedure. Charts replace names. Twins are examined, infected compared. If one dies, the other follows, so results remain clean. Data demands symmetry. The doctors do not shout. They do not need to. Normality spreads faster than fear. Prisoners learn to trust uniforms because distrust costs energy they no longer have. The system thrives on that exhaustion. Music plays while bodies fail. Science records while lives end. Civilization continues performing itself even here. This is the collapse that leaves no ruins when art keeps tempo for suffering, and medicine divorces itself from mercy. Inside this place, culture and science are not corrupted by accident. They are weaponized with intention, proving that intelligence without ethics does not resist cruelty. It refines it, making atrocity orderly, repeatable, and terrifyingly calm. This is where the system completes itself. The buildings do not announce death. They promise routine. Signs speak of showers. Voices stay calm because panic slows processing. People are told to undress, to remember where clothes were placed, to move inside quickly so everyone fits. Memory is used as a final leash. Doors seal with a sound that is procedural, not dramatic. From ceiling columns, pellets fall and release gas engineered for efficiency, fast-acting, scalable, indifferent. Breathing turns frantic, then shallow, then stops. There are no speeches, no witnesses invited to linger. Adjacent furnaces ignite immediately because delay creates backups, and backups threaten order. Bodies are moved, counted, burned. Ash is dumped, spread, reused. Math governs everything. Thousands per day when throughput peaks. Hatred is no longer required. Only procedure remains. Deception becomes the system's last kindness because it preserves calm until the final minute. When the doors open again, the room is empty, reset, ready. The floor is washed, the air cleared, the schedule resumes. Nothing pauses for grief because grief has no place in a workflow built to erase people. What makes this unbearable is not spectacle but normality. Murder here is not hidden, it is streamlined. Completion, not suffering, is the objective. And once completion is achieved, the machine advances unchanged, repeating identical steps with precision until silence feels like confirmation that the process is working. Auschwitz was not an eruption of madness. It was a demonstration. It shows what happens when efficiency is treated as a virtue and humanity as friction. Nothing here required monsters, only systems, staffed by ordinary people doing their jobs well and asking no further questions. That is why this story refuses to stay in the past. The uniforms change the language, softens the paperwork, becomes digital, but the danger survives. Whenever people are reduced to numbers, whenever suffering is justified as necessary, whenever silence feels safer than resistance, the same logic begins to assemble itself again. Auschwitz warns us that cruelty does not need hatred. It needs distance. Distance between action and consequence. Distance between task and outcome. Distance between responsibility and guilt. Remembering this place is not about inherited blame or ritual mourning. It is about vigilance in the present. It is about learning to recognize systems that reward obedience over judgment and speed over care. The machine does not announce itself with violence. It warms up quietly, disguised as order, professionalism progress. By the time it is visible, it is already running. This story is not an ending. It is a warning about what happens next to us.